What's up, everybody? I have been consistently working on a rather large video for a few weeks now, but recently I've seen two different things that I am rather opinionated about, so I'd like to talk about them real quick. This won't be too huge of a project, as most of it will just be me talking, but I do want to get this out there. I'll start with Squid Game, and damn, that poster blows. That's better. Anyways, it was pretty good. There's a lot I have to say about this thing, but I'll start with a brief plot summary. A bunch of sexy people and an extremely sexy Indian guy all join a very suspect game in order to make some cheddar and pay off their debts. However, it ends up being a lot more sinister than they expected. It's another riff on the death game archetype, but there are some pretty notable differences. It actually reminds me quite a bit of Fall Guys. I don't know why that matters, but I felt it needed to be said. Anyways, to start off, let me talk about the main selling point, the games, which are very well done. They're always a total blast to watch, and were definitely the most exciting parts of this show for me. They're extremely tense, they constantly have surprising twists and turns, which add another layer to it all, and make it more than just a glorified Fall Guy, okay, we're not doing that again. Overall, I feel like everyone just kinda has this need to watch other people play these violent, fucked up, dangerous games, and Squid Game definitely satiates that thirst. It's heaps of fun, and likely the most consistently well executed part, but what struck the biggest chord with me was how good the characters were. Every single one of them were so developed and interesting. They do lightly follow tropes, but they each have enough compelling elements to themselves to not feel like cutouts of other characters. And besides, literally everything ever is a trope. A trope is not an inherently bad thing. Stop pretending like they are bad things. Anyways, it really amplifies the pressure when you actually give a shit about the characters whose lives are on the line, especially when you know that they can die at any given moment. The show is not afraid to kill off characters. They're all very layered, due to the games tending to bring out their true natures and deeper characteristics, an aspect that I very much loved. It really makes the show special, and more than just an acted out Fall Guy. Okay, I need to stop doing that. Sorry. As for the technical elements, it's good. It's well shot, and I really enjoyed the set designs. It's all Bill, it's not CG, and it really shows. The score is genuinely amazing, possibly even the best part of the whole thing for me. And the bright and vibrant colors really complement the tone of the series, which strikes a great balance of cheese and seriousness. Now, the show is not perfect. Far from it, actually. Throughout, I consistently enjoyed it, but I do feel like it falters its landing too much. For example, the inclusion of the VIPs is pretty dumb to me. Besides one instance of forwarding the plot, they did nothing but suck up time, interfere with intense moments, and be stupid and annoying and fat and ugly. They're there to further the point of the rich playing with the poor, and it does technically work for that, but it turns that theme from a subtle one to on the nose and annoying. In addition to this, I feel like the actual game wraps itself up a little too quickly. And I'm really against one specific twist, as it's felt stupid, forced, and ruined a previously emotional moment. It provided motives that the viewer could already figure out for themselves, so all it really did was tank one of the most heartfelt parts of the series. In general, the last episode seems a bit all over the place. They set up a lot of neat little story threads throughout, but it feels like they couldn't wrap it up, leading to some really stupid conclusions. That being said, Squid Game is still a fun yet genuinely intense series that I thoroughly enjoyed. It manages to strike just about every category, with some funny moments, some scary ones, and huge gut punches throughout. Episode 6 is a complete masterpiece, and while I had problems with the last episode, I definitely got something out of every episode. I sure said episode a lot in that previous sentence. Overall, I give Squid Game a solid 7 out of 10. It would have been a high 7 or maybe even an 8 if it ended a little better. But this is still an awesome series that I think everyone would enjoy, and I think everyone is enjoying. Just one thing before you check it out. Make sure you use subs and not the dub, because the dub is hilariously bad.
Whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
I also saw Dear Evan Hansen, and I loved every second of it. definitely one of the best comedies of the year. I was constantly stifling laughs in the theater, and some lines were just so fucking ridiculous that me and my sister would just turn and stare at each other in shock. Oh, and my mom was there too. Notice how I'm taller than both of them? That's a thing that happened recently. Are you guys proud? I'm proud. Anyways, Dear Evan Hansen is a very funny movie, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Now, if you've heard of the original musical, or seen anything related to the movie adaptation at all, you'll be aware that I am in fact joking. Dear Evan Hansen is a completely serious story, but it certainly isn't easy to take it that way. A large chunk of this is the fault of none other than Ben Platt, who takes this mediocre slice of Wonder Bread and slathers it with Vegemite. He completely tanks any potential empathy one could feel for Evan, and thus ruins the movie. Good stuff, Ben! Daddy made a great decision casting you. I don't want to be too mean to him, but, I mean, come on, cut me some slack. He doesn't make it easy for me when his expression matches a troll face half the time. I'm gonna dig into how he ruins this movie for the majority of this review, but let me start by getting prideful and prejudiced. Emphasis on the prejudiced, because Ben Platt looks fucking horrible in Dear Evan Hansen. I'm talking ugly as shit. Now, I know this probably sounds really cruel, but just hear me out for a sec. And besides, people on Letterboxd have already gone way further. So, let me have this. Ben Platt is not a bad-looking guy. I would willingly give him a nice smooch on the cheek, and maybe even suck... Well, he's a pretty good-looking guy. You get what I'm trying to say. However, the makeup department must have been smoking drugs.
Smoking drugs?
Just fix it. The makeup department must have been smoking crack.
Crack?
The makeup department must have been smoking pot because they fucking eviscerated his face. I don't want to say he looks like a sweaty, overgrown imp or anything, but I also don't want to lie. Now, why is this a problem, you may ask? Well, this story leans on you being able to partially empathize with the main character, which isn't very easy to do in the first place. After all, his actions are absurdly selfish. He lies to so many people, causes so much damage, and it just gets so out of control, and at the center of it all, the victims of this are a poor, grieving family who are tearing themselves apart because of this horrible loss. So yeah, it's already tough to be able to get behind this character and his motives, but it's possible when you view him as just some naive, troubled high schooler who said a few wrong things that spiraled out of control, and he can't just seem to put a kibosh on the situation. But the thing is, in the adaptation, Evan Hansen isn't a naive, troubled kid. He's a 30-year-old, awkward, greasy, creepy man who looks like he isn't even allowed to be in a 500-meter range of a high school. How can I possibly empathize with this guy making such a horrible mistake? This isn't an ignorant, partly innocent kid. This is a grown man, and that fact sends the story and everything about this whole dumpster fire movie straight down to hell. In addition, it tries to justify his actions way too much, way more than the musical did, I felt, and it cuts out Good For You, the absolute banger song that actually reprimands these disgusting actions. It feels just like a family infiltration plot. Exploited son, seduced daughter, received that sweet, sweet moolah from his parents, yet start to feel bad for it. However, there is one key difference. At least in an infiltration plot, we wouldn't be required to feel empathy for anyone. He makes every single musical number ridiculous. Every time he dances or sings, it's so unintentionally funny. He just looks like he isn't supposed to be here. Because of his garbage performance and presence, he makes every scene just feel oh so wrong. It definitely ups the entertainment value, because it's hilarious, but it does come at the slight cost of ruining the movie. However, even with someone competent in his place, this thing doesn't have much to ride on anyways. Besides Caitlin Dever, who is pretty alright, everyone else isn't great. Not Ben Platt ruined the movie levels of bad, just mediocre. Not that it's their fault. They were given nothing to work with, and they likely had zero guidance because of the shit-ass directing. I mean, even Amy Adams was bad in it, and she managed to hold her own in that semi-recent piece of shit Woman in the Window garbage, which is still better than this. Man, I feel like at this point, Amy Adams' agent is just bullying her. Besides that, the performances are consistently hard to believe, and quite bland overall. And while nobody dips down to the levels of Benjamin Platypus, it doesn't do this movie any favors either. Now, Dear Evan Hansen is a musical, so the main events are gonna be the songs. This part is certainly more subjective and preference-based, but I don't think they're too great. First of all, like I mentioned before, they cut out my favorite song, Good For You, so thanks for that, I guess. I like Sincerely Me a lot, and in my opinion, that's the best song in the adaptation. Waving Through a Window is alright. I don't really like You Will Be Found. I actually kinda hate it. Requiem is cool, but at the end of the day, the quality of the song tends to not matter because Ben Platt screws it up with his terrible singing and dancing. That's kind of all I have to say about this. I mean, it's a musical, so most of it is gonna ride on the characters and the performances, which, as I think I've heavily implied before, completely flopped all around, especially in one certain area, someone who shall not be named. It's pretty boring in terms of shot composition and the editing is pretty bad, but most of the garbage comes from what I mentioned before. Overall, it fucking blows. It blows so fucking unbelievably hard. It's a genuine candidate for worst film of the year against He's All That and the new Space Jam. He's All That and the new Space Jam. They took this alright musical, did their thing, and now it's comparable to He's All That and the new Space Jam! Dear Evan Hansen gets a 1 out of 10 from me, and a 2 out of 10 from my sister, who I am taller than. Thanks for watching, everyone.